Hi, and welcome to another SEO Hangout with Josh, the werewolf on wheels, bachynski. Today I've got some more interesting leaks from our favorite John Mueller, and he actually provided some personal help on a Hangout on June 2nd or at least that's what was advertised. So he'd provide some personal help to people on June 2nd. He'd give them 4 minutes of his time. And so this is a Google employee giving information to people. So in theory, should be pretty valuable. And it was pretty interesting. So he did that. He also did another hangout, which he mentioned some bombshells, which I'll get to right now. Okay, so on June 2nd, as I mentioned, John Mueller was offering some personal help to people. So I'll jump right in. So one guy went there with a site. And John Mueller took a look, and he said that it was likely Penguin that hit it. And quite frankly, in my opinion, it was probably likely Panda as well, both Panda and Penguin. The reason why I say this is because John Mueller mentioned that the site was not even ranking for brand. So what do I mean by that? So if their business name was Werewolf on Wheels, if you search Werewolf on Wheels, they weren't even showing up, which was their brand name. Whenever that happens, if the authorship, well, of course, this is June 27th. The authorship, they've just pulled the authorship, so ignore that. But if your site links aren't showing up, or if you're not showing up for your domain searches, you have really bad quality issues. They really don't trust your site. And in my experience, it usually happens when there's one or more algorithms affecting you, either manual penalties and or demotions or some combination thereof. So this is what was happening to this site. Donk. Oops, there's my Mac. Okay. So what help did John Mueller give this poor fellow? I'm sure you're thinking, oh, I'm sure John rolled up his sleeves and got out the SEO juice and really helped this guy. And John Mueller did. John Mueller told him, and I quote, that he should literally change domains. He said point blank that this guy should literally change domain names. That essentially implying that the site was far too gone to help, to fix. So if you're not even showing up for your brand name, this is the help that John Mueller would suggest. Just change domain names. Because quite frankly, it is too bad. It's hit by too many different algorithms. It could just even be Penguin and Panda. And he said that really you should take your blog content and move it to another domain name. So that might not be as bad as it sounds. John Mueller might have been saying, hey, listen, users really hate your blog. Your blog is really low quality content. Whatever that is. And again, these are all Panda issues. Or they might have been building really bad Penguin backlinks to their blog, which was on blog.whatever. So he was saying, get rid of that, move it to some other domain name, and either you would save the blog or you would save the domain. So I don't know which one they were bad linking to. I don't know which one had the worst user metrics, why he was saying this, but that seems to be it. I presume you need more than one algorithm to detrust you. To be able to not even show up for your own brand name. I've never seen a site that was that badly hit by a single algorithm that wouldn't show up for its brand name. In my experience, I've seen 4 or 5. They've always been hit by Penguin and Panda, and or Penguin and a manual action. But I suppose I could be wrong. I suppose there could be like Penguin. There could be a Penguin like Arnold Schwarzenegger version that's like so strong you can't even get back to the chopper. Sorry. It's Friday. I've been on vacation all week. How can you tell? Okay, so and then as you might expect, this person started to complain. What do you mean I have to change domain names? Like this is not fair. Blah 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 blah. Whine. And John Mueller, he actually forced a confession from John Mueller. John Mueller actually admitted that the algorithms were a little bit too draconian. And that he wanted to push the engineers to change or push a Penguin update. But he wouldn't say to push a Penguin update. He said, well, I should tell the engineers and they should run an algorithm update. Clearly he's talking about Penguin. He's done that many times before. And Panda runs on a regular basis. It still runs on a regular basis. Panda 4 was released on May 19th, and I think it just ran June 24th. There was an unannounced algorithm shift about a month and 10 days or thereabouts after May 19th, which is when Panda 4 was released. And so it makes sense that, okay, well, that's probably Panda running again, right? And all the sites that got hit by it were these kind of low quality-ish kind of sites. But again, I'm guessing, again, of course. All SEO is guesswork. Just like all science is best guesswork, so too is all SEO best guesswork. And we make our best guesses based on the evidence that we have. Or, in this case, the terrible lack thereof. Okay, and so John Mueller mentioned some other stuff. He did mention, quite frankly, that they do look at a site's trust factor, or whether or not it's been hit by Panda, to determine crawl rates. I repeat, he said that the crawl rate is mostly affected by the speed of the site, but they also take into consideration how important the site is for them and how much they trust it, how quality the site is. The more quality, the faster they'll crawl it, or there'll be no restrictions to crawling. The lower quality, the less they trust it, the more restrictions to crawling they're going to give. So this is another great, I've mentioned this before, but this is another great instance of how you can tell whether or not Google dislikes your site, or thinks that you're low quality, or you're having trust problems with your site because you're having trouble ranking. But also, if you look at your crawl rate, it's like, you know, high 800, low 400, current 0, or something like that. You know very well that if you have a number like that, that's your crawl rate, that's a problem. So either you have a site speed problem or a quality trust problem, or if your site speed is that bad, probably both. Probably both. Because remember, site speed is a ranking factor. Okay. Okay, so another guy, so the same hangout on June 2nd, another guy came on to get some more advice. And this is very interesting as well. He had a price comparison site that was apparently, he claims, hit by Panda 4. Now, it's hard to know, but as far as we can tell, according to Dr. Pete and Mozcast and those kinds of things, Payday Loans 2 was released on May 16th. And Payday Loans has to do with some kind of spam algorithm, similar to Penguin. They also call it the Google spam algorithm. I'll mention that in a second, why I say it's similar to Penguin. If not Penguin itself, that's what the new name for Penguin. And Panda 4 was May 19th, as far as we can tell. Now, he said that no SEOs can tell what's wrong. So John Mueller took a look at it, and he said right away, and I quote, "You're taking content and mixing it up," end quote. You're taking content and mixing it up. So, based on all the reports we've had on Panda 4, it seems pretty obvious that Panda 4 doesn't like aggregated content. Panda 4 doesn't like duplicated content. Panda 4 doesn't like mixes of different kinds of content. Like press release sites, of course Newswire was hammered on Panda 4. So it doesn't like sites with multi-topics. It doesn't like sites with aggregated content. It doesn't like sites with duplicated content or category pages. It doesn't like you amalgamating content on a category page either. But you can, if you have those kinds of sites, you can get past Panda 4 if you have sufficient buzz generation. If you have enough experts and enthusiasts going to your site and or recommending your site on social. This seems to be the kind of sites that get by. Because, and you can watch my video from a couple weeks ago, and before I forget, if you want to know where that video is, or if you have any SEO questions for me, you can email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. And you can watch my previous videos at youtube.com/jbachins, where I did a full review of Panda 4. But basically, just in a nutshell, what I said about Panda 4 was that if you look at the list that Searchmetrics, who's owned by Marcus Tolba, they put out the list of Panda 4 winners and the Panda 4 losers. And there was aggregate and category-based pages on both sides. So then, but when I did a check to see, well, what's the difference then? The sites that won seem to be the ones that are best recommended in social and the most talked about and have the best buzz, and they have the nicest designs and the most modern designs. Those are the sites that won, even though they were coupon site and coupon site, even though they were aggregated content and aggregated content. The aggregated content that didn't win was not as good a design, kind of crappy sites, not as well recommended in social, not as well talked about online. There's like spam reports about them and stuff like that. So I speculated that that's how I think Panda 4 is working now, with this kind of expert third-party recommendation, kind of buzz generation kind of algorithms behind them. This is how I think SEO is working these days. And again, if you have any questions about that, I would be happy to explain it. All you have to do is email me or go watch my previous videos. Now, so this guy was hit by Panda 4. And so John Mueller said that he was just, and I quote, taking content and mixing it up. And so it really seems pretty clearly that Panda 4 likes unique content, not duped. It doesn't like aggregate content. And you have to, Panda 4 is just selectively choosing the most recommended and the most used, the best used with the best usage metrics sites that out of, if they have like 4 sites that are all aggregated content to choose from, clearly they're going to choose the one that's the best recommended and that has the best usage metrics. With a lot of people searching it on Google because they like the brand name, like who is whoever it is, whatever Zagat or whoever, I can't remember the exact examples. So this is how I think it's working. So we have a good amount of evidence now to see this is the case. So again, if you want to learn more about buzz generation, how to generate buzz across the web so that Google can tell, it's not just about links anymore. It's about social, it's about mentions, it's about positive co-citations, positive co-occurrence. And so if you want to know how to, okay, Josh, great, how do we do it? Email me, and I have packages, and I can explain them, and I can talk to you about it, or I can just tell you how it works, and those kinds of things. Okay, so that was the end of June 2nd. So on June 6th, John Mueller had yet another hangout. And so he said some very interesting things on this hangout as well. So again, as I mentioned, there's lots of evidence that payday loans on May 16th either is Penguin, or incorporates Penguin, or is the new Penguin, because it is called the Google spam algorithm, and that's what they were calling Penguin, the Google web spam algorithm. Or at the very least, maybe Matt Cutts took some of my suggestions. I tweeted Matt Cutts a couple times, and back in March at SMX West, he and I had a private conversation where he told me, point blank to my, don't worry, it'll probably be the last one we have, where he told me point blank to my face that the reason why they were not releasing Penguin was because they could not, they're having trouble telling the difference between black hat SEO and negative SEO, because the world has gone negative SEO crazy, as you probably already know. And just recently I came across some more negative SEO information, which was just fascinating, that I hope I might be able to share with you. I don't know, it was told to me privately, so I'll have to ask the person who told me whether or not he cares if I share it. But anyway, Matt Cutts told me that the reason why they're taking so long to run Penguin was because they were having trouble disambiguating between negative SEO and black hat SEO. Because quite frankly, they look exactly the same. Some site suddenly gets a bunch of links that are exact match to what they want to rank for in a straight order. They can't tell if this site ordered it or this site ordered it. There's no way they can know that, right? So they were hesitating on releasing Penguin again because people have gone negative SEO crazy, and two things have happened. One, most importantly, the search results produced results that did not make sense to them. Like, they would do a search and Wikipedia is not ranking because people have gone crazy to negative SEO Wikipedia to see if they can. After they run Penguin, they do their tests, right? So they go, well, that can't be right because Wikipedia is a good site, therefore it should rank. So that's why they weren't running Penguin. So I tweeted Matt. I wrote a big article about this. If you want to read it, it's at themoralconcept.net, where I give some admittedly pointed, fairly pointy opinions, personal opinions, editorial opinions of mine, which you can take or leave however you like. But then after that, because I think this is unethical, quite frankly, that they're holding all these sites down with Penguin. They won't rerun it. It's like taking someone's head and putting it under the water and holding it there. It's exactly what it's like. And they won't let them up. So I tweeted Matt Cutts twice, and I said, hey, Matt, if you're having trouble disambiguating negative SEO from black hat SEO, why don't you just run a positive version of Penguin that just releases the sites that have disavowed the right links and deleted enough links? So a few weeks later, Payday Loans 2 comes out, and a bunch of people who were hit by Penguin, and I have the charts to prove it. I have access to a number of these sites that were hit by clearly on Penguin on May 23rd or October 4th. October 1st. Been drinking too much. They were hit by Penguin clearly. And then May 16th, they were clearly come back up. Now, they could have also been hit by Payday Loans. Payday Loans 1 was released around June 11th and June 24th of last year. But they didn't have any drops at those times. That's when they announced Payday Loans. And for all we know, and I speculated at the time, that Payday Loans was nothing but a more extreme version of Penguin anyway. If you want to watch that video again, go back to my videos from last year, where I do a case study to show that Payday Loans and Penguin 2 really have the exact same kind of footprint. They hit the exact same kind of sites for the exact same kind of things, apparently. So for all I know, payday loans really has always been Penguin. Anyway, I don't know of anyone who went down on May 16th. If you know of anyone who went down on May 16th exactly of 2014, I would like to know. Because as far as I've seen, everyone has gone up on May 16th. In fact, even when they reran payday loans a few weeks later, around June 11th, June 12th, after Matt Cutts announced an SMX Advanced of 2014, I'm talking about this year, that they were running another payday loans. I don't know of anyone who was really hit at that time anyway, except for people who are kind of having trouble with Panda, right? So they're doing all kind of shenanigans. They're really hiding what algorithms are releasing. They're not really being clear about what algorithms are releasing, so we should always expect for that to continue, because quite frankly, they don't care if we fix our sites. They've shown very clearly, Matt Cutts has told me point blank to my face, that they don't care if they put SEOs out of business. They don't care if they help any sites get back up. They're all black hat sites and they all deserve what they get. Blah, 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 more immoral bullshit. And they realize that we can help you. The SEOs can diagnose what hit your site by seeing the date it fell. If it fell on a publicized date, that's a Penguin date, I mean, I think Penguin hit you. It's not rocket science, right? You just have to have the data from that far back. And we can make educated guesses based on other things too. We can look at your backlinks, we can look at your quality, we can look at your usage metrics. But really the date is the main thing we use to tell whether you're hit by Panda or Penguin or payday loans or the page layout algorithm or any of the forum algorithm, any of the other algorithms they've announced and or semi-announced behind the scenes of these conferences that we SEOs who are in the know get to hear about. Some of them we don't. So obviously there's some conflict of interest from SEOs sharing information at that point, obviously. Although I don't believe in that either. I usually like to share information as much as I can that people haven't said directly to me. Do not tell anybody this, and I say okay, I won't. And typically, unless it's completely immoral, I typically don't. Definitely for clients, I never do, because clients never tell me anything that really is that important for anybody else to hear anyway. So I don't know what I was talking about there. I'm just rambling on. Blah 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 blah. Yes. So anyway, there's plenty of evidence that Penguin was either part of payday loans or was released at the same time as payday loans. I tweeted Matt Cutts, and it looks like he took my advice because all the sites only seem to have went up on May 16th. And if you know of any sites that went down on May 16th, I'd like to know. Not May 19th. May 19th was Panda 4, and sites went up and down. There's very clearly winners and losers for that algorithm. And I have plenty of evidence for that. If you want to see the evidence, I'll happily email you the graphic. I'm just too lazy to chop this out and edit the video and put it up here and so you can see the chart. But trust me, I have the chart, and lots of people have seen it as well. Or you can follow my Twitter, and I tweeted it as well, at Matt Cutts. Okay, speaking of Panda 4, also John Mueller on June 6th also did mention that Panda 4 does not like category pages. And he said it doesn't like empty pages, it doesn't like sparse search results pages, it doesn't like spam or auto-generated content. It doesn't like user-based content. It doesn't like comments, for example, that are duplicated across the web or have bad spelling or grammar. All those kinds of things. And again, this is nothing new. That's what the old Panda didn't like either. But it seems that Panda 4 is even more aggressive against category pages and seems to be broken down, as far as I can tell, to the section level. Because, for example, they hit a site like eBay, but not all of eBay stopped ranking, only a section of eBay. And so that's what was the problem with Panda previously, is that it was a draconic kind of one-size-fits-all site-wide penalty. Now it looks like Panda 4 can be drilled down to at least the section level, the subdirectory level, or maybe the subdomain level, or these types of pages. Demote these types of category pages, well, the rest of the pages are more or less fine. It looks like that way, but again, John Mueller has specifically said twice, because people suspected that's what they did, and asked John Mueller twice, as I've reported in previous videos, and he directly denied it twice, or denied knowing of that twice. And I presume they would tell him, because he's supposed to be one of the people that debugs the algorithms for them. They may not have. The engineers don't, or kind of secretive. Matt Cutts doesn't even really know exactly how all the algorithms work. Only the engineers do. If you know any programmers or you work in a company with programmers, you know very well the programmers really are the ones who know. And not all the programmers, even just the one programmer who wrote it, usually is the only guy or girl, but usually guy who knows how this thing is particularly working. And if someone asks, well, how's that working? He goes, oh, I don't know. Jim wrote that. Yeah, he's on vacation. I'm going to have to ask him when he gets back. That's usually how it works. It works the exact same way at Google. Matt Cutts is routinely asked, how does this work? And he says, as far as I know, he says, or he says, I'll have to check with the engineers, but, and so he doesn't even know the way, and he's the head of the department. He doesn't even know fully how it all works. I don't think any one single person does. Maybe if they have a head engineer, he or she would. Maybe this Panda fellow does. The Panda's a guy who actually works for them. I don't know who their head engineer is. Excellent question. But anyway, so it says the reason it's possible John Mueller doesn't know. So the evidence seems to contradict what John Mueller says, so I'll probably side with the evidence, although John Mueller has point blank said no, Panda is still a site-wide based algorithm. Maybe he meant you have to clean up. He did say, it is true, the second time he was asked that post Panda 4, he did, if memory serves, he did say, no, you have to clean up your entire site in order to get out of it. He might just have been saying that so that people would clean up their entire site and not just focus myopically on these pages or these pages when he wants every site to be better. Because that's all they care about, is that your sites get better. Why? So that when people do a search in Google, they end up with a good site, and so their whole experience with Google and your site is a positive one. That's the only reason, and I mean the only reason, why they care that you have useful and good websites. Otherwise, they couldn't give a shit, obviously. Why would they care? They'd rather just sell ads and make money on ads. Okay, here's another bombshell. John Mueller said, and you can watch on June 6th to see if you disagree with this, but he said point blank, and I quote, "So some shares on social media are passing PageRank." That's right, he said on June 6th, and he said this before, but he said it again on June 6th, and I quote, "Some shares on social media are passing PageRank," end quote. So he did not say some links, he said some shares on social media. And the context of that discussion was talking about, does social help you rank? Social actions, engagement, social shares, plus ones, likes, retweets, favorites, repins, those kinds of things were the topic of the discussion. And he said, yep, some of that passes PageRank. So they just amended, which I speculated, and a lot of people have speculated, they simply amended the PageRank algorithm to include, some people have speculated they've amended the PageRank algorithm to include some no-follow links, some positive co-citations, some mentions on trusted forums or trusted social sites or trusted blogs. If they mention you, that's like a positive link, right? That passes PageRank. It'll help you rank. They've simply amended the PageRank algorithm to include some retweets, some shares, some plus ones maybe, or maybe just some shares on social. If you're shared on social, it's like a link. It's the new link. Because nobody runs a blog anymore and nobody makes links anymore. I know they say they do, but I can't imagine who this is. I mean, they have access to the stats. I don't. They have access to the stats of the entire internet. I don't have access to those stats. For some reason, they don't give me access to that. But I cannot imagine mom and pops and the general population running a blog anymore. I mean, who does that? Everyone is on Facebook, however. Everyone's on Twitter. Lots of people are on Twitter. Fewer people, but still lots of people are on Google Plus as well. Lots of people are on Pinterest. And there's tons of other smaller networks, social networks that they have back-end access to, like Dig, Disquist, Reddit, things like that. And so if you do a social share there, if you post it there, that's considered a link, and it's very easy for them to amend the PageRank algorithm to include that. And John Mueller and Matt Cutts have both admitted, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm almost directly quoting, that if Google does not keep up with what people are doing and how people are sharing stuff, then they've not done their job. That's what both of them have said multiple times over the last year and a half regarding social signals. And so that's their tongue-in-cheek way of saying, yes, of course we're going to count social signals, but we're not going to tell you how or where or which ones exactly, and we're going to directly deny it if you ask, because that's their new modus operandi. It's not 2001 anymore. They're not going to post a PageRank paper and say, everyone make links so that we can help them build Google and understand the relation between pages better. They don't need that anymore. They've got that now. Now they want to directly deny exactly what they're doing so that it'll be harder for us to exploit it. So if you're wondering if social helps you rank, I have experiments to prove it. I have confirmed statements from Googlers to prove it. It does help you rank. You just have to do it the right way. So if you want to know the right way to do it, by all means, contact me, the Werewolf on Wheels. I would help you to drive over like this and tell you how to do it. I won't actually drive to your house, and I don't actually look like this. I don't drive motorcycles because it's dangerous. And I certainly wouldn't carry a woman like this on my motorcycle because that would just be silly. Okay, and so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Okay, so John Mueller, again, in this same hangout, inadvertently admits that bigger sites have an SEO advantage, surprise, surprise. But he also says that small sites have the quote-unquote advantage, if you want to call it an advantage, of being nimble and can provide information on a perspective on smaller markets that big sites can't or won't. I repeat, the only advantage, and John Mueller has admitted this point blank, the only advantage that small sites have is providing a perspective or ranking for queries that big sites either can't or won't because they're a giant bureaucracy and so they are not nimble enough to do so. That, he said point blank, is the only advantage that smaller sites have. Otherwise, big sites do win. They want them to win. They think they should win. That's what they want to prioritize in their search results. I repeat, that is they're doing this intentionally. They want Walmart and Amazon to rank #1 for certain queries, or eBay. Not anymore. They give a manual penalty because they found them buying links. Because that's what they want. Because these are their biggest advertisers. Because that's who they can trust to provide the experience that they want, and they don't trust us anymore. We webmasters, have made too many spammy sites, and they no longer trust us. And so they will, and they know very well that they have Amazon and eBay by the short and curlies, because if they take away their organic rankings, that's millions of dollars of revenue a month, and so they know very well that those kind of sites are going to put it back. Whereas we'll just keep churning and burning. We'll they don't trust us at all. So, I've said this before, so for those of you who have not heard that before, swallow that, rewind, listen to it again so you make sure you understand what I'm saying. Now, the question is, if that is the case, Josh, then how do we rank? How do smaller sites rank? And the case is that you kind of have to do what John Mueller says, but you kind of have to read between the lines and go another step. For example, let's say Werewolves on Wheels was a major brand. Let's say they had a product called Wheels. Wheels Plus is the name of the product. So what you do is you make a website called Wheels Ultra, or you make a website, you see if anybody is messing up their name and searching something different, or messing up their product and searching something different. Or, you make up another product, or Wheels Special, or Wheels Best, or something like that. And so people can get confused. They'll know well enough that you are that product, or probably think you're that product, but you can rank for something else. So this is the age-old trick of if you can't beat them in that query space, make another query space, right? If you can't beat them on that brand name or that product because it's Walmart and you just can't beat Walmart, what you do is you make a personal review site and you have a personal opinion, and so the query deserves diversity might rank you there. Or you make a video about it, and the query deserves diversity algorithm might rank you page 1 if there's not already a video or not already a review site. Or you can make a scam review site. You can say, Wheels Scam, or Werewolves on Wheels Scam, or Werewolves on Wheels ripsoffcustomers.com, whatever. And then, because they're query diversity, remember, they love digging up the dirt and putting it on page 1. Those people who have a bad article about them online know this all too well. That is an age-old trick to try and get on page 1. And if that doesn't work, if you can't beat them in that query space, or if you can't join them in that query space by providing something different, then you try and make a new query space, right? And I do this all the time, and it works very, very well. Especially on products where the name is kind of weird, and people can't remember it. And so look at the Google Instant. You type in I would type in Wheels, and I'd see what else everyone else is saying, and I'd try and rank on one of those query spaces, right? Then I'd put all my links out there, and I'd change the name. I'd make social accounts with a slightly different name. So people think the brand name is not the major product. They think the brand name is my product that I'm selling or I'm an affiliate of or whatever it is, right? That's the only way to do it. You cannot, I'm sorry, guys, I'm sorry to say, but the days of 2007 where you just point links at it until you could beat Walmart are over. They're long gone. Unless that main brand is so untrusted, so bad, hasn't been on social, and you got on social early, or is so untrusted, or has so many bad merchant reviews that the bad merchant algorithm is hitting them. If that's the case, then rejoice, because then as long as your SEO is on point and everyone is talking about you and everyone's saying positive things, then at least you can be on page 1. You might even be able to beat them. But if that is not the case, if you cannot count on the incompetence of the large brands, which largely you can because they're bureaucracy, so they're probably not that nimble and usually they're incompetent, right? But not always. They have a lot of money to throw at people. And so if you cannot trust in the incompetence of large brands, I'm sorry, you just cannot compete with them. You've got to try and make a different query space, name your product something differently, go with guerrilla marketing, make something quirky and zany and funny and just keep putting out videos like I do every week. I put out a video every week, right? You may wonder, why does Josh make so many darn videos? This is why. It's because this is the only way you can compete with those larger brands. Not that I can't compete with the other SEOs. I can, but I know very well if I start pointing links at my site that everyone's going, yeah, Josh is linking this, So obviously I decided I was going to beat them with lots of videos as opposed to one site that I point all my links at. And trust me, it works very well. So anyway, on that note, on that conceited note, which is pretty much every note I end my videos on because I'm the wearer of phone wheels, that's where I'll leave it for today. So if you have any questions, by all means contact me. I'll be on vacation for another week after this. I need a vacation. All this SEO crap is just crazy. But my team is still working, of course, on all the projects, so don't worry about that. And don't worry about emailing me either. You can always email me whether I'm on vacation or not. So again, you can email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can follow me at Twitter at joshbachynski and watch me berate poor Matt Cutts a lot. Or you can always watch more videos like this where I have tons of SEO leaks and private conversations and SEO secrets and experiments that I share at youtube.com/jbachins, JBACHYS. So good luck in the SERPs, and if you need any help, please let me know. We'll see you next week.